Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the On Time, On Target Morning Brief, where we invest with fighter pilot precision every day. Welcome to a couple new squadron members this morning. Glad to have you on board. And thanks for everybody for checking in on short notice, because I said I wasn't going to be here today, but the event I had scheduled for this morning slid till 10:30. So here we are. So thanks again for the short notice checking in there. Got a great show for you today. We're going to talk about investing in 5G technology. I am fortunate enough to have an iPhone 12 to where I do have the 5G technology. So I have used it. It's pretty good. It's not the most amazing thing in the world, but it's certainly pretty good, and I'd certainly rather have it than not. So highly recommended. Rush out and get your iPhone 12, of course, if you can afford to do so. But it's pretty cool. We're going to talk about the chip makers that are behind the 5G technology, as well as the handset maker. I've already mentioned Apple, obviously a large 5G play. And then finally, there are some funds out there that are focused at 5G in particular. And then there's also one that's kind of 5G and next generation technology that I'm very excited about. I'm starting to put my own money and some other folks' money in. If you're catching us on replay, thanks so much for checking us out. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications bell so you get notified when we go live or when it gets published every day. If you want to join us live, it's only $25 a month. What a better way to invest in yourself. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, welcome everyone. Let's go back on camera here. Here we go. All right. Welcome everyone. Make sure you have your chat window set up as well as your Q&A window set up as well. Standard disclaimer applies. This is a financial education presentation, so you have to do your own due diligence before you act upon anything you hear in this presentation. All right, today we are talking about 5G technology and how to invest in that. You can scroll down a little bit, you can see the names there. Qualcomm, AMD, again, are your chip makers that are behind that. Apple, your handset maker. Woogie, which translates in Mandarin as 5G, so kind of a cute little ETF name. I like these, they kind of crack me up. 5G, any idea what that ETF's about, right? So that one's kind of appropriately named. And the one I talked about in the open is Next Gen. So it's got all the 5G stuff as well as several other things. So those are the names we're going to take a look at today. Also, tax season, so I'm trying to come up with some tax-related questions for y'all so you can educate yourselves and be smarter when you do your taxes. But the capital gains rate, so when you think invest, not only investing, but selling your house, selling your business, anytime you make money, you're going to get taxed on that. We're going to go through the chart of capital gains rates for what they are for 2020, because again, you're filing your taxes for just for the year that just happened. But also that is one of those things that is under review from the Biden administration and the blue wave. So I do expect that's one of the things that they will attack fairly quickly is those rates going up. So we shall see. But I'll at least tell you what they are now, and then when the proposals roll out, you'll know what they're talking about. All right. Let's see here. Had a couple misspellings, so technology here, and then in the chat you can see Burner brought up it's actually QTRX instead of QRTX, so good catch there. And then also for longs you can put in, I'll just type it in real quick for those that don't listen to every word. I get that. Luck and long is another one we can take a look at. QTRX is low volume. So is Luckin, but Luckin's been in play lately. It went over $10 yesterday. It's up at 10.20 something right now. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Excuse me. All right, our flow for today, we're going to go long, short, open, short, long. That means we're going to take a around the world market review, talking about everything geographically. For the new folks in the room, going a little slower today, but everything geographically, as well as we talk about oil, interest rates, and Bitcoin on a daily basis. From there, we'll come back to the headline review. Had a jobs number out this morning that wasn't all that good. We'll get the official unemployment rate tomorrow. Also, Biden speaking tonight about the stimulus package. So everybody's kind of excited to hear what he said. I don't know if he's speaking or if he's publishing what he wants. But anyhow, you're going to get some insight into what that looks like. I think obviously the $2,000 checks, the 600 will be bumped up to 2,000. I think that will happen fairly easily. And then I think the other stuff will be fairly targeted from there. All right, we will get into our long-term investing. We'll take a look at those. I'll give you my recommendations. We'll get into short-term market execution on our longs and shorts, and then we'll get into our question of the day. If you have any tech issues, contact me at steve@ototnow.com. And if you're new and you need can't quite follow along to the fast-paced presentation, I understand that. Have academic resources available at ototnow.com. All right, let's go over to the TD Ameritrade platform. The first thing you're looking at is our day trading screen. We will come back to this, but that's how it will look once we get back to it. First thing we're going to look at is the overview of the S&P 500, which is the chart you're looking at. If you go over here left, that's April 15th or so, all the way up to where we are now. Not exactly a straight line up, but it's also not a straight line up. So anyhow, pretty spoiled lately, right? So things are toppy, if you will. We're near all-time highs. And then of course we have the inauguration coming up. For the future of democracy, I think we all hope that just goes without, it's a non-event and it's more of an administration thing versus demonstrations, arrests, people getting killed in Washington. None of that's good. So hopefully there's a peaceful transition of power, and then we'll go from there. Obviously, the impeachment hearings are going to continue on into Biden's presidency. So we'll see how that plays out. So that's it. We're going to focus in on the last 5 days of the SPY here. Really, it was straight up last week, pretty flat this week, right? So not a whole lot going on. Some individual names are going higher because we're starting the beginning of earnings season. But for the most part, it's just a flat market this week. All right, let's take a look at CNBC.com for our around the world review. So that's what you should be seeing here. We'll refresh on the futures. So up slightly, Biden's stimulus package unveiling. I think there will be some excitement for that for sure. We'll see what he says, and we'll talk about it tomorrow. All right, Europe's up across the board. Everybody but China is up in Asia. Here's our numbers from yesterday. The Dow was slightly in the red, not really anything of note, and tech continues to rise. As far as bonds, the U.S. 10-year is kind of stalled at this 1.1% rate, which, yeah, I think as long as it holds 1%, we're fine. I think it doesn't need to scream higher either. So kind of just pausing here for now, let that get repriced into everything, and then it can slightly move higher. When it was going straight up, everybody was screaming inflation. So it was like screaming fire in the theater. Not cool because we don't have any inflation. So stop screaming it, please. At least wait for some indication that it's happening. Oil off a little bit, not significant. Gold and silver, same. And then where's Bitcoin this morning? Kind of fun to watch, right? So touched 40,000. And we're not talking Bitcoin today, but I do owe you some comments on this kind of every day as we all learn together. So here's the issue with why all of a sudden would I think that Bitcoin is going higher. And I don't think I explained this. It's kind of like a cult-like following, kind of like Tesla, the Tesla stock, excuse me, in that people aren't selling this. So people that are buying it right now, including myself and my clients, I'm not buying it to sell it right away. So I'm not looking to buy it at 31,000, I think was my entry point, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Wherever you get it here, if it goes to 50,000, who's selling? Nobody's selling. It's a limited asset. No more are going to be produced. If you lose your password, they're gone forever. I was listening to a story yesterday, $240 million worth of Bitcoin. The guy lost his password. And when you think, okay, you lose your password, you hit forgot password and go through the drill. No, it's unhackable, bro. The password is, I think, 132 digit deal. So yeah, if you lose the 8-digit password on occasion, like you're going to remember the 132 digit one, and it's literally gone forever. It's in the blockchain that it's allocated to somebody, but no one has access to it. Same thing if you are out there either by yourself or married and you haven't shared that password with anybody. Yeah, you get hit by the truck, game over, man. All that wealth gone, literally gone, gone, gone. No reset password. So anyhow, that's why it's going higher, is people are grabbing this stuff. It's limited supply, and it's going to be less limited as people are buffoons with it. And there just aren't any sellers. There just are not. Nobody's selling it. So back to the headline review. That's enough on Bitcoin. All right, let's talk about, impeached. Yep, at the House. It'll go through a vote the next couple weeks. 900% jump in assets to 20 billion at Grayscale. Again, that's GBTC. That's who we're invested with for our crypto. There's two ways to do this. I'm slowly hedging this into a Bitcoin presentation, but you can buy what we do as the open shares. You can also do a private placement. If you're a accredited investor, which again, most in the room are, you could go out and buy Bitcoin and have them hold it. So I haven't looked into that. I may have when I get time, when do I have time? But that's something I need to look at in the future. Okay, let's switch over to 5G, running a little short on time because I can't help but talking about Bitcoin. Maybe I'm joining the cult, right? All right. So, and again, for those who haven't heard my cult speech, you're either arrested or dead if you join a cult. So at the end of it, it doesn't end well. All right. So the first one in the 5G names we're going to look at has been my favorite for a long time, and that's Qualcomm. It is a chip maker. Obviously, these are straight up charts pretty well across the board. So I wouldn't necessarily hop into Qualcomm here. AMD is probably a little better as far as an entry point. So I think Qualcomm's a better company. AMD is the better as far as the entry point and more upside if you want to get into those. All right, if you want to get into the handset maker and have exposure to a zillion other things, hop into Apple. Look at the Apple chart here. They had the split back in here. It runs up. Yep, the death of Apple, right? Oh, Apple, sell Apple. What's wrong going on with Apple? Whine, cry, blah, blah, blah. Don't care. Look, here's where Apple is. And yeah, call me in a year from now. It's above 140. I mean, so quit sweating the price in here. These things do need to pause when you run from 65 to 140. This is called taking a flipping breather. Okay, the thing went up over 200%. So it's got to chill for a second before it can go higher. That's what's going on there. So I'm not too worried. And then let's talk about NXTG, next gen. Again, this looks like a straight up chart. When you look at it, this is 45 back here. It's at 70. So that's what? Not even 50%. So this one has a lot more room to run higher, in my opinion. So this one is getting my dollars. If you have to buy the individual name, go AMD. Apple's always a buy it, don't sell it. Don't care what the stock price is. And then NXTG is a way to get not only the 5G exposure, but several other things. Okay. Let's kill that, and we are going to go over to Schwab real quick and take a look at all 5 of these names. So again, here's all the charts. The ones we didn't look at, Woogie, again, 5G and Mandarin, same sort of thing, except it's very laser-like focus on 5G. And then, of course, you have the 5G fund that also, is kind of the straight-up chart here recently. Lower price point if you're worried about trying to pick up more shares. But I like all of these names, if you will. All right, let's talk about transitioning to our day trades of today. AVAV is Aero Environment. You've heard me talk about this name for a long time, but not lately, right? So when you think of the big defense plays, think of your Lockheed Martin, Raytheon. Those are your big names. Boeing has defense exposure. But when you want to get into smaller names, so you have more upside, Aero Environment is all things drone, if you will. So again, it released earnings a day or two ago. It is gapping up, and it's got plenty of room to go higher. QTRX is a pharmaceutical. I think the volume is going to be low. The volume is extremely low, so you got to wait to get in on this, but they had a big announcement as well. When you look at the downside, Fuel Cell got a downgrade. Again, it was a short yesterday, so it was up at 2080. and then closed at 1914, continuing down. It's at 1770. This has the whole world to fall because 10 days ago it was down here at $10. So it's got a lot of room to the downside. So that is my favorite move for the day. And then favorite Luckin because it's printing cash right now. So we'll see where Luckin is on 37 in volume. So 10.02 is the previous close. So up to 44. What's that? 4% right there. And it looks that might be an all. No, the recent high is 10.54. It looks like. So a lot going on there as far as Luckin long. Okay, I'm seeing if there's any other names. Churchill Cap. It's a SPAC. I don't see the news release. All right, let's switch over. We have about a minute to the market open. So again, my favorite of all of these is the fuel cell short. So we get set up here. Get rid of myself. All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time, On Target play of the day. You have 4 screens in front of you, and we have 15 seconds till the market is opening. Futures are in the green, so the trend is going higher. We have AVAV, who beat earnings and gapping up. We have Luckin, who's just been in play lately, also gapping up. And then we have my favorite of all this is fuel cell short. So that's expected. We're going to hop in here pretty quick. There is the opening bell. So focusing on this right-hand screen, we're just going to have to let it kind of, you see it flopping around. These are millions of shares going short here. So high of the day. Oh man, I wanted 1710. Don't tell me I missed it. Get up back above 1710. I want to climb here a little bit. There we go. Okay, taking it here at 1710. Again, this is short. We're going to go with a 25-cent stop at 1735 is the stop here. And again, that's above the high of the day. It's bouncing around, so we need to hang in there tight. So it's already working against us. So just stand by. We may be out already, and boom, we are out of the trade. So that one sucked. Sorry about that. It's going to continue to it's going to sell off here throughout the day. I don't trade. I don't sit and trade into things over and over, but this is one of those that's set up beautifully for some profit taking here. And then if you were to trade it again, I would take it back once it gets to 1735 and then put your high of the day, put it right above the high of the day. If it continues up here, just wait for it to peak out and then start to come back down. So wherever that peak may be, this is all short covering. We will take away, AVAV went launching higher. So open at 106, it's at 112. So that would have worked much better than crappy fuel cell. Luckin's going up, but I do want to show you something with GameStop. GameStop's been in play lately. And I'm going to back out the chart here because this makes a little more sense. So here's GameStop and what's going on with GameStop. So sorry to go back to the fuel cell thing. So what you want to see is now it's starting to get back to, I'd say 1740 would be your entry point. Not trading it again, but if you were to trade it again, 1740 with the 1765 stop would be the secondary. And then you're looking to not only get your R back, but to get more out of it. So again, that would be the secondary entry. It's not going to give me, there we go, just so you see that. Okay, where were we? We're talking about GameStop on a 5-day chart. So actually 2-day chart, right? So this is yesterday's action, and GameStop has been left for dead. I mean, it's a brick and mortar video game store when you can just log on and buy your video games, right? So and download them real time. So there is literally no business model here. But so many people have shorted this name that when you have what's called a short covering, and this thing's just too strong over here in fuel cell. So same thing if you want to trade all day, eventually you're going to catch that move down. But you may be a house of pain, which is why I don't do it. And you have tax implications if you're sitting here doing this multiple trades in the same name, just to try to get your money back, sort of thing. All right, GameStop again left for dead. So this is what's called a short cover. So this thing went up what's that, 95%, 94% yesterday, basically on a short cover. So if you short a stock, like we do when we day trade to the your day trade to the downside, you are borrowing that stock, selling it, but then you owe that stock back to your broker, so you have to buy it back eventually. Well, when you start buying the stock back, and a lot of other people start buying the stock back as well, that starts this march higher. Well, if you have your limit set in here at 21, as soon as it hits that, you start buying back. Others have folks set their limit set at 21.50. They have to start buying back when it hits. So you end up with this thing that can, a left for dead stock that can rip higher to the tune of 90%. People are asking me yesterday, hey, what's going on in GameStop? It's like absolutely nothing. It is literally the dog with fleas. You need to get away from it. And they're like, well, but it went up 90% and now it's up, dropped back down. It's up today. This is basically a clear short as well. But again, showed a lot of strength going into this. But this is a stock that was down at 20 a couple days ago. It could literally end today down at 30. I mean, that's how far this thing could fall. So, all right, the trade over here in fuel cell, if you would have taken it a third time where you're in at 1625 with a high of 1690 or so, that'd be the house of pain. But you can see how now it looks like that's going to go on to work. So a little bit of pain there on the trade, but this is what, 3 minutes of backing up, tops out in the 4th minute, and then down it goes. All right, let's take a look at what else is going on. I see the market's going to the downside a little bit, but we shall see. All right, hey, how about these names? AV up 21%. This is the Greystone Bitcoin Trust, so I'd imagine that I'm looking on another screen here what Bitcoin is up to. It probably jumped at the market open. Up 4.2%. So the trust is up 8.8%. A lot of people are finding out about this thing right now. And, the CNBC is making fun of them, but that's disrespectful. I think Robinhood Nation is real. I think it's an army of millions. And you start talking armies of millions. And if they start believing in Bitcoin, this is how they're going to buy it, right? Because you can log in and not have to worry about losing your password. So again, the Bitcoin on the move higher, up 9% today. There's Luckin making a nice move up. Alibaba, all I can do is take a quick victory lap on this one. I was getting so many spears about Alibaba and, Trump and anti-China and all of that. It's like clear buy. It's been ripping higher. Marijuana, you can still buy MJ here. I bought some more yesterday and I'm going to buy some more today. This looks like you've missed it. You have not missed this. Let's back out the chart from a 5-day to a 20-day. Well, that doesn't look all that good. Let's back it out to a year. Okay. So here last year, you're talking, let's see, this is the March lows. It was the year before that. It was legalized in Canada. So anyhow, marijuana ran up, sold off hard going into the COVID, kind of had some second life and then back hard again when it looked like Biden was not going to win. Remember, there was a lot of talk that, okay, Trump's going to be our president again. So it sold off hard. And then the numbers started coming out and on into the election, it's going higher. Okay. I do think the legalization's coming. It's already legalized in Mexico as of a few weeks ago. Oh, they passed the legislation. I don't know that it's taken effect yet, but it doesn't matter. It has been legalized there. I think this is one of the themes you will see carried forth at the Democratic administration. So legalization across the country. Whether it happens in 2 years, the blue wave until the next election, or after that, I don't care. I think it's going higher. That's my take on it. Okay, let's go to what's going on the downside here. Got Clickstream selling off a little bit. I pulled up the SPY, so we just kind of keep an eye on where it's going. Let's get back to the 5-day. That's a little more accurate. So be bopping around, still in the green. BlackRock selling off. That's a name that had earnings. They crushed earnings, actually. So it's kind of surprising they're selling off there as well. Palantir got downgraded yesterday by Citigroup. Don't care. They're wrong. That's a short-term downgrade, not a long-term. Let's see. Had Workhorse in here, is down a little bit. So really, when you look at it, not too many names are down, but the market's not up a whole lot either. So I think today could go either way. and I think there will be maybe some excitement in the close as people get to the stimulus announcement from Biden. All right, let's go to the question of the day and look at the capital gains rate. Okay, so again, it's good to cover some basics. So when something makes money, you owe taxes on it, right? Because you made money on it. Now with investments, if you lose money, then that also works the other way. So if you are, and nobody's ever done this, right? Had a private account and you buy Luckin, and Luckin goes from $50 down to $1, which it did. Okay, these things happen. Now it's one of my favorite stocks because we bought back in, at the couple dollar point. But it's like go luck and go. But the point being is if something falls that far and it's going to be left for dead, you can sell it and get credit for it on your taxes. So if you hold it for 20 years, then sell it whenever you need a break on your taxes. I mean, the loss is going to be the same if a stock goes to zero and stays basically at zero. If it officially gets delisted and taken down, then it will be a forced sale. But a lot of times they don't even do that. They just let it sit there. So with a house, it's different. If you buy a house and you make money, you can go, if you're single, up to 250,000 is free from capital gains. If you're married, up to 500,000 in capital gains. So if you buy a house for 300,000, you got all the way up to 800,000 before you're paying a dime. That's pretty favorable tax code. I can see the Democrats going after that because again, buying property is a rich people getting richer kind of thing. Or upper middle class, at least getting or moving into the ranks of the rich, if you will. But if you lose money on a house, you cannot write that off. So beware. Let's see what we have for. There's long-term and short-term capital gains. So short-term capital gains are taxed as ordinary income. So if you don't hold something so obviously day trading, that's income. And if you do the day trading, if you're following along, when you get your annual end of year statement, it's going to be 50 pages long, right? Because you have all those trades in there. Literally, you could be up or down, $2,000 on the year and have 50 pages, and it will show you that you have bought and sold like $7 million worth of stock, which is true. You've just day traded it. So it's kind of interesting, but it'll break. Those are all short term. So if you make money, you're paying at income rates. If you lose money, you can write it off. You can write up to $3,000 per year. Well, first of all, if you make money, it offsets that, and then it goes towards the future. So you do get credit for those gains. So if there's a year you get smoked in the market, all is not lost. Stop getting smoked in the market, first of all, but all is not lost because you're going to get credit for those gains over time. All right. For long term, once you hold them for over a year, the rates are 0, 15, 20%. And there's a kicker out there that most people don't even know about. But let's pull this up and I shall explain it to you. Okay, tax rates for long-term capital gains. If you are single, you get up to $40,000. That's your income. If it's less than that, then your capital gains are free. Then you can make really up to 40, right? Because that does count against your income. So if it gets up to from 40,000 to 441,000, which again, this is the vast majority of folks, you're at a 15% rate versus your normal income rate. And obviously, if you get into making over $440,000 a year, then you're at 20%. For most people, not most, for the people that are in this room, for the most part, I can say that, married filing jointly, you have up to 80,000. Again, once you have over 80,000, you get into the big realm here, 15% from 80,000, basically $500,000, and then you have the tax up there. So then you have the increase to 20 once you get higher. This could change. I could see this 15 and 20 changing, and the 20 going to right here. So it's free if you don't make a whole lot of money, but then once you get up to kind of that minimum level of income, that's when you see the kind of big bump up, if you will. There's also a little kicker in here that's kind of a bunch of crap, but I have to find it. There we go. This is the nonsense most people don't know about. It's highlighted in blue there. Is a net investment income tax. If your income is high, okay, what's high? This tax imposes an additional 3.8% on your investment income, including capital gains, if it exceeds 250,000 married filing jointly, and then 200,000 if you're single. So let's look at that 250 number. So what that, thank you. Let's get over to the right chart. So here's what I'm talking about. Then I'll go back up to the chart. Thanks, Burner, there. So 3.8% if your income is over 250K. So let's go back to the chart. So what this really becomes is, again, we're talking married numbers, but also applies to single folks in the room, is if you're married filing jointly, it's free up to 0% up to 80,000. It goes to 15 from 80,000 to 250,000 because of that 3.8% kicker. Then from 250,000 to 496,000, it's actually 18.8. You have the 15 plus the 3.8. And then if you get over 496,000, nobody on this planet is getting 20%. Nobody. Because if you're above 250, you get the 3.8. So this is actually 23.8. So a lot of people don't realize that. If you start making a lot of money, you're like, why am I getting smoked on my capital gains too? And that's why it's that 3.8 kicker that's way down here. So we talked about investment exceptions. If you do art or things like that, there's a steady, or old cars or collectibles. That's what it is. It's a 28% rate on taxes. So if you get into that ball game, you're not getting any of the tax favored status. It's a flat rate. Also, if you depreciate your house because you have an investment property, you depreciate at 25%. You also have to buy back that depreciation when you sell at 25%, even if your tax rate is below 10, like mine was when I sold my house. I have a very low tax rate, but I get killed on the buying that depreciation back. So anyhow, that's enough on the taxes for one day. So thanks again for checking in. We'll be back at you tomorrow. Have a good one.